What's up, guys? Yankees run this town here, and today I wanted to discuss the news that Alfonso Soriano has been reacquired by the Yankees from the Chicago Cubs. Um, News broke that these two teams were talking on Tuesday night, I remember. Then there was not necessarily doubt, but there was a question of if the deal would be approved by Soriano, as he has 10-5 rights and also a full no-trade clause in his contract that he signed in 2007 with the Cubs. Of course, it's just ironic with everything that's going on with Alex Rodriguez that Soriano was the centerpiece of that deal that originally brought A-Rod to New York. The Yankees sent him and Joaquin Arias to the Texas Rangers, of course. And the funny thing about that, I always remember now that I've read it in so many different places. Joaquin Arias was selected by the Rangers. He was originally a player to be named later, right? And the Rangers had a pool of prospects to select. And one of those prospects that they very could have just said, okay, we pick him, was the Dominican international signing Robinson Cano. So, if you look at it now and how disastrous the A-Rod saga has been of late, just imagine if Texas decided to take Cano, what the team would look like without Cano. The Yankees are very lucky Cano evolved into the player he is, because Soriano was also almost at the level Cano is now. He was a top-flight second baseman, not amazing defensively, not very good at all. Of course, he moved to the outfield in 2006 with the Nationals. He played 1 year there. But he was nearly a member of the 40-40 club in 2002 and 2003. And even though he's lost speed along the way as he's aged, he's now 37, he still has power, he still drives and runs, and his swing is still just as familiar, I guess you could say, as it was when he was with the Yankees. Of course, I can't say I necessarily remember him playing. I was very young when he was on the Yankees, but I knew of him. I've always known of him. I know the type of player he was with New York, and I know the type of player he is now. He's been rumored to be in talks to come back to the Yankees a few times over the past few years, and now it appears it has finally happened. The real specifics of the deal is that the Cubs are covering $25 of the $36 million that is still owed to Soriano. So financially, it doesn't hurt the Yankees that much. It's just like the Vernon Wells trade. Because, like Wells, Soriano is signed through 2014. That is when both of their deals expire. So, one side of me is not a fan of this trade. And this is the side of me that is thinking for the future and thinking for the Yankees' best interests. And certainly having, if you include Ichiro, 3 very old, over-the-hill outfielders signed through next season, that is ridiculous. Especially considering the way Wells has performed, the way Ichiro has simply not been Ichiro. He's had his streaks, but he's just not the same player. And of course, Soriano, who this season is batting .250 and still doesn't get on base that much and strikes out just as much as he did when he was with the Yankees, if not more. It's really questionable why they made this move. Because there are a lot of good outfielders on the market for next season that the Yankees could sign, and they could certainly afford with all the money that's coming off the books. Kuroda's contract, I still don't think he'll be back. I just have a feeling. I think Pettit's retiring without a doubt. Mariano, of course, Hughes, Jabba, see what the Yankees do with Granderson, but if he doesn't come back, that's another $10 million off the books. So the Yankees can certainly afford to sign some new guys, fresh faces. most notably, as I was talking with my friend and fellow H4 TV analyst Gershon Rabinowitz, guys like Shin Soo Chu or Carlos Beltran or Jason Kubel, guys who, now Beltran's up there in age as well, but still productive and still performing just as well as, if not better than he did when he was in his prime years. So it doesn't make much sense to me on that front, thinking about 2014 and beyond. But on the other side, it's not a surprising move, because this is the type of move that the Yankees have made for years and years now. As I said earlier this spring, the Vernon Wells trade and the last-ditch effort to get some offense and some new life into the Yankees lineup. The season before, of course, Ichiro, they traded for him from the Mariners, and I already gave my thoughts on him. He's not the same player. It's that simple. You look at, in 2010, they traded for Lance Berkman, Austin Kearns, Kerry Wood, former somewhat prominent names, I guess, when you include Kearns in that conversation, but Wood and Berkman were former stars. Of course, Wood with the Cubs and Berkman with the Astros. And the Yankees, those past few seasons, they've made those deals. They were in a position, they were already either in first place or a few games out, and they knew they were one move or one, decent player away from running away with it. And granted, they have not been in this type of situation, that's happening this season in a very long time. The Yankees are not mathematically out by any stretch. They have shown signs of being capable of winning and scoring enough off of good pitching. But then at the same time, there were so many teams ahead of them, younger, healthier, better, and more consistent, that as I've said before, I don't see the Yankees making the playoffs. And yet, they are still in the buyer's mentality, and they are still, they're still in that mindset that, just wait till Jeter comes back, just wait till Granderson comes back, wait till we make another trade for a bat. Everything will be alright. And the fact is, it's not. Now, don't get me wrong, is Alfonso Soriano an upgrade over the guys in the lineup now? Absolutely. Absolutely. And when Jeter, Granderson, and perhaps another bat is added back into the mix, they could definitely play better. They can definitely become a much better presentable lineup. And I'm not saying they should sell, but I wouldn't necessarily just keep adding on veteran pieces and especially bringing in guys who are signed through next year. They're trying, as I've said, to make a last-ditch effort to reconstruct this lineup and bring it back to respectability and bring it back to, being a feared lineup. With Soriano in the mix, they're definitely a better lineup. But is it worth it to have him here in 2014 too, when in all likelihood they're going to fall short of the playoffs with Soriano in 2013? Absolutely not. I'm not saying they should sell. I have been thinking about it over the past few days, and then I also read a very good, very thought-provoking article on Pinstripe Bible, which I will put the link in the description, that rebuilding is not such an easy task, and I think we've been tossing this term around a lot recently, that, the Yankees can just rebuild, trade Cano for a bunch of good prospects, trade Kuroda, trade Granderson when he's healthy, stuff like that. It's crazy stuff like that. And the fact is, there's no guarantee those prospects are going to do anything. There's no guarantee that the Yankees rebuild and are back to winning championships and being a yearly contender in 2 years. The Pittsburgh Pirates are having their first season where they're over 500 and seem to be headed towards a finish of that type of record for the first time since 1992. I wasn't even born the last time the Pirates were A, in the playoffs, and B, had a 500 or better record. The last time the Pirates were a good team, Barry Bonds was allegedly not juicing and a hell of a skinny, mean, lean fighting machine in Pittsburgh. The Kansas City Royals have made the playoffs in 20-something years. There are so many different examples I can give that rebuilding is not something you can just say, oh, we'll do this and we'll be back to winning in no time. Because also then you look at the Yankees farm system, there is no real prospects on the way up in the next 2 years. All the potentially great prospects are in the very early stages of development in the minor league system. We're talking low A, high A, double A maybe. These guys are very young. Their recent draft picks and Michael O'Neill and Ian Clarkin and Eric Jagielo, Aaron Judge, guys like them, they're a long ways away. And they are the future of the Yankees without a doubt. But we're talking 2016, 2017, 2018, not next season or 2015, where we can just bring up all the young guys, have every prospect that we traded, Cano for, develop into everyday players, and we'll party like it's 1996. That's not gonna happen. So, the Yankees are caught in a tough situation. At the same time, I'm telling them not to necessarily sell, and I'm telling them not to necessarily buy. I know fans would be outraged if they just stood pat, which of course they aren't now that Alfonso Soriano is a Yankee again. But I think that's what they should do. Ride out this season. Whatever happens, happens. You will be getting Granderson and Jeter back off the disabled list. Hopefully A-Rod. And now you have Soriano, so the lineup will look better. And there's a chance you can finish and save face and win around 85 games, which in my opinion at this point would not be so bad the way the season has looked since mid-May, when they were last actually looking like a playoff caliber team. So, again, am I necessarily against the Soriano trade? No. Do I think it's worth it? No. It will help. It will help for the rest of the season to score a few more runs, hit a few more home runs, and finish a few games, perhaps, closer to the playoffs than we would without trading for a bat like his. But I still don't see the Yankees, getting on a tear and making the playoffs anytime soon. And I don't want to imagine the Yankees outfield next year comprising of 38-year-old Alfonso Soriano, 35-year-old Vernon Wells, 40-year-old Ichiro, and Brett Gardner. Gardner's a great player, of course, so I'm not taking anything away from him, but those three guys, that is not an outfield that can win next year. No doubt about it. So, Yankees need to really take a step back and realize what this season is ultimately heading towards, and that is no playoffs, a big disappointment no matter of who was actually, in the lineup, and if they play their cards right, they have a chance to retool and be a good-looking team next year. But if they keep making trades like this, and they so willingly trade their youth, for veterans that could provide a little bit of offensive help now, it's not going to be pretty. So thanks for watching, guys. Go Yankees, and I will talk to you guys all very, very soon.